vintage newscast. I apologize for not doing any videos for a while. To be honest, I just haven't been watching any good vintage movies lately. I've been trying to catch up on some of my newer movies and some other things. So I'll get back to that soon. But today, I think this will be my first random topic, sort of random topic for Vintage Newscast. Um, I stumbled upon an article. It's an old article. It's about 2, 3 months ago. Um, and the article is about two women. One, a successful businesswoman, and the other is a was is a dancer, professional dance teacher, right? So, um, long story short, the woman, the businesswoman, um, I guess had this crush or whatever on this guy. So she wanted to go see a psychic to find out, the old, is he mine, is he not, how do I get him, into my life, that kind of thing, you know how it goes. So the businesswoman sees this woman named Sylvia, I think her name is, and she's supposed to be this big old psychic, right? And she has these powers and she can, do all these things for her. So, bottom line is, this businesswoman conned, the psychic conned the businesswoman. Okay, now mind you, keep in mind the businesswoman. Okay, in order to be a businesswoman, successful businesswoman, you gotta have a little bit of upstairs. You know, you gotta be able to, you know, um, look at facts, look at your figures, and know how to manage your business based on, numeric facts. But somehow this psychic conned the businesswoman into giving her $128,000. Yes, you heard right. $128,000 she gave to this psychic to tell her some kind of crap about her past lives and, and all this stuff that, she's going to do with the money to help her with her love life, yada, yada, yada. And then what's another shocking thing is that the dancer, right? She just recently lost her job. Um, and she wanted to go see the psychic, and I guess, for the most part, to see, if she's gonna, when will her next gig be, and the whole 9 yards. Now, keep in mind, she's now unemployed. That psychic also conned her into giving up $10,000. It's all in this article. I'm going to put a link so you can read it. 10,000. First of all, I'm saying to myself, shame on the dancer. Because that's another person who, I mean, in order to be a dancer, you can't be a stupid person because you got to be able to retain information. You got to be able to remember your dance steps. You got to remember to also take those dance steps and teach it to the students or to the staff that you need to teach those steps to do whatever performance that's required, right? She The psychic conned her into shelling out $10,000. Now, $10,000 could go into helping, to pay about a good, 7 months worth of rent or 6 months worth of rent and you know basic necessities, you know until you're able to find another job. She chose to take that money. I don't know what the hell the gift of gab this woman has to make someone unemployed give this woman $10,000, to psychically help her in her life, and to help her get a new job. You know, it's amazing. I thought that the majority of us have learned our lessons with those psychic things, but I guess we haven't. And the reason why I think that this topic is so fitting, is the first thing I thought of was the 80's with the psychic networks. Do you remember
Person is
Miss
that's around you
Cleo?
right now has been in jail before.
Yes, you're right. You're telling the honest truth. You're right.
She got a temper.
Yes.
Well, we're just grateful that now you aren't throwing things anymore. You got through that through your 20s, didn't you?
Ah, you can see that.
You used to pick
Yes,
up
I
anything
used to
that
throw-
was nearby and just lob it at the ex-husband.
Oh, yes, I did.
Find out what I see for you. Call me now for a free tarot reading.
Call 1-800-311-1412.
What's all this arguing going on that I see by the Five of Wands? I'm looking at 5 people.
Correct. Oh, my goodness. My mother, my 2 uncles, my cousin, and myself.
He will get frustrated and tired with this, honey.
He told me that.
Well, because you have sex with your eyes closed. You're scared to death, Mama.
Oh, man, you have hit the nail on the head perfectly.
What question would you ask me in your free tarot reading?
Miss Cleo, you are the best.
Call
Another person
1-800-311-1412.
was Ms. Dionne Warwick. This woman was such a respectable artist, and she is a master in her own right, Ms. Dionne Warwick. And is just how the hell things couldn't have gotten that bad that you got mixed, that she would actually mix herself up with a psychic network. I mean, she truly was the spokesperson for that psychic thing. And let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys remember, but when Psychic Friends Network was out, people were calling those 900 area code numbers like crazy. And let me tell you something. They were charging like $4 a minute. Do you understand how much $4 a minute can add up? And most of this stuff was bogus, but yet people were just, I don't know what the attraction to this stuff is, and why people were just so gullible for this stuff. Now, I think I understand why at least half the people go to these psychics, and I think, people would say it's entertainment, but I think it's more than entertainment. I think sometimes, people, they go through things in their life and they feel that it's so bad, it's so heartbreaking that you don't want to talk to somebody that you know, or you don't want anybody to know that you want to go see a therapist, or maybe you just don't want to go to see a therapist because maybe you can't fathom the possibility that you may be part of your problem, of what's causing your problem. And I think the whole excitement or the whole thrill comes in when you go to see a psychic and they can allegedly see everything, and they automatically would understand you without having to explain everything to a psychiatrist or a therapist, the person that you should be going to. And I think indirectly these psychics wind up um, taking the place of a therapist or a psychiatrist. And in the end, you wind up spending more money instead of seeing a real, professional, because for some reason, people just don't like therapists. They just don't like psychologists. And I think maybe one of those reasons is because they get down to the nitty gritty of the core person of who you are. And there are a lot of people that are just not ready for that. People are more comfortable screaming out, "You're the problem, it's not me," kind of thing. So, anyway, bringing things back to the 80s, I mean, that psychic thing was just so popular. And, I just didn't realize that after reading this article that this stuff, it's still going on after all the shit that went on in the 80s with all um, the fake predictions and stuff. Even Sylvia Brown, which she just passed not too long ago, and it's funny she couldn't predict her own death. So many things. Look it up on YouTube. There's so many predictions. Now Montel sets the show up like she's so accurate, like she's real. He set it up in such a way that he has all these ratings. You know, to make her look like she's like the real deal. And then when you actually look her up, you find out, she's, nothing but, a fraud. Even though that there's some other videos that claim that Sylvia Brown did help some people, but I think that was more a matter of luck.
Sounded pretty good to me.
This is great, Dion. Let's do the next song.
You're on. And while I've got a few minutes, let me tell you about a very special phone service called the Psychic Friends Network, which was introduced on a TV show about psychic phenomena. Linda Georgian, a friend and a psychic, has helped me and many others. It was Linda who created the Psychic Friends Network so that you can get expert psychic advice right over the telephone. Just by dialing the number on your screen, you'll be connected to a professional psychic who cares about your future. Callers to the network have been impressed.
I had a great time. Hey, you're talking to someone, they're giving you their undivided attention, and they're making a lot of sense.
My psychic guided me to one of the best fishing trips we ever had.
So if you're wondering about anything, no matter how big or small, call the Psychic Friends Network today. All it takes is a telephone and an open mind, and you won't be disappointed.
Must be 18 to call. $3.99.
Past the vintage, but I want you guys to take a moment and to think about this seriously, about spirituality and how powerful this is. You really have to be careful and think closely before you go and just believe in things wholeheartedly. And I think it's kind of the same thing kind of happens, in church. Excuse me. In terms of Christianity, haven't quite got rid of my cold, I guess. Excuse me. So in terms of Christianity, so many people automatically want to believe a preacher because they are a man of God. And you have to be so careful because you have to remember that the bottom line is whether you see a psychic or a church, the bottom line is it's still an organization that needs to function as a business so that they can exist. Now, They may tell you that, God is working through me and want to help you, yada, yada, yada. But after everything is said and done, there's a purpose to what they're doing for you. And that is to eventually, in hopes to get some money to leave your pocket to help their cause. And it's no different, in my opinion, when it comes to psychics. The only thing is, most psychics tend to be real crooks, and they know that there are gullible people who will, come see them, and they just have no mercy. They have no mercy on anyone. And so I'm gonna leave you the link to the article, and just be careful out there. I mean, I'm not saying don't go see a psychic. They could be fun and what have you, but you should have enough common sense to know you don't give that kind of money to a total stranger. There aren't that many people who would give up that money to close friends that you've known for many years. Why would you give that kind of money to a stranger selling you a dream? Alright? You have to investigate. Not just investigate. No one can give you a promise. No one has a direct line to a deity or to the spiritual world. No one has a lock on that thing. Because if that was the case, our world would be a utopia. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Strange enough, there are two jagged boulders which look really misplaced because everything is trees, and then all of a sudden you've got these stupid boulders sitting there.
And he could be found near
He's near the boulders.
Is he still with us?
Well, that was famous alleged psychic Sylvia Browne on the Montel Williams show in 2003, 4 months after Sean Hornbeck disappeared. She said that Sean Hornbeck was dead. She was wrong about that. She said a Hispanic man with dreadlocks had taken him. She was wrong. And she told Sean's grieving parents where to search for his body. She, of course, was wrong about that as well. As you know, Sean was found alive, not stuck between jagged boulders, but in an apartment in suburban St. Louis. Mr. Brown's, or I should say Ms. Brown's mistakes does not end there, and it doesn't surprise famed debunker of the paranormal, James Randi, who also runs an educational foundation. He joins us now. James, thanks for being with us. What is your opinion regarding what we just saw happen with Sylvia Browne on the Montel Williams show? Does it surprise you?
No, I'm not surprised at all, because all of these people who say that they can speak with the dead, all of them, including Sylvia Browne, of course, are like vultures. They sit in a tree and they wait for the grieving to come by. Grieving people who are vulnerable and really need some help and are naive enough to think that if she appears on Montel Williams wouldn't deceive us, of course. She must be the real thing, and that's not necessarily true. And they jump on these people and charge, as Sylvia does, $700 for a 20-minute reading over the telephone. Incredible, but they believe it.
Well, I talked to the Akers yesterday, and they told me that they were only allowed to speak with Sylvia Browne on the show, not before or after, and they were told after the show that if they wanted further communication with her, they would have to pay her going rate, which I thought was $700 for an hour, but you're saying $700 for 20 minutes, and that's a phone consultation. She denies that. Her manager told us she's never charged at all.
Well, I think that's a matter of her opinion against mine.
What do you think it is that makes people go back to a person like Sylvia Browne, even though she was wrong about this case and, as we've shown earlier, wrong about a bunch of others?
Well, she'll be back on Montel Williams or Larry King or some other place again, and that adds to the illusion that she is dependable. Now, I have a collection, Anderson, of all kinds of tapes that have been made of the 20-minute session that she charges $700 for over the telephone, And invariably, every one of the people who sent me those tapes wanted their money back and were totally dissatisfied with it. Most of the tape consists, first of all, of giving the names of these people's guardian angels. That's not what they're looking for. They're not looking for names of other beings that they were in other dimensions in previous ages, millions of years ago. No, they want information that they have questions, burning questions, to which they want answers. And that's not what she answers for them.
And you say that what a lot of these so-called psychics do are cold readings. What's that?
Well, a cold reading is a technique, a specific technique where you just throw out ideas and initials, things like there's something red connected with this. It's like a right color. It might be a roof of some kind, and the letter M, or maybe a double letter R, I'm not sure. But there's also something about late at night, and I smell gasoline or turpentine, something like that, and electricity is flowing. And they go on and on like this, and they'll fill a tape with this sort of nonsense, and afterwards, if the victims are gullible enough, what they'll do is they'll look back through the tape to find some sort of correlation with what she said.
So-called psychics will say, well, look, even though something can't be scientifically proven, doesn't mean that it's not real or doesn't exist. Do you hold out the possibility that someone could have psychic powers?
Well, we've been offering at the James Randi Educational Foundation a $1 million prize now for many, many years. And Sylvia Browne agreed on international television that she would take the challenge. Then she announced immediately that she didn't know how to reach me. A psychic didn't know how to reach me? She can't use the telephone book? And then she said, after we told her how she could reach me so she wasn't inconvenienced, of course, she then said that I'm not a godly man, so she wouldn't have anything to do with me. Now, wouldn't she want to take that $1 million, which she could earn inside of 50 minutes or so? We figured that's how long it would take to do a definitive test.
Well, we'll see if she responds now. James Randi, appreciate it. Thanks very much. And we should point out we invited Sylvia Browne to appear on this program. We keep the invitation open anytime she wants to come on and explain herself, explain why she said that Sean Hornby was dead. The incredible rescue of Ben Ownby and Sean Hornby has raised a lot of questions about missing kids and the people who take them. We'll look at that and more in a special hour. Taken, Children Lost and Found, starting 11 p.m. Eastern.